Welcome to IDT News, for those who want to listen to the news a week after it's happened. Before we get into this, I want to make sure everybody can like this video and subscribe down below. Give you some time to do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get into it. So, I'm going to go over the news topics for today. We're going to talk about the PlayStation Store PS3 reversal, KOTAR, Knights of the Old Republic Remake Remaster, that's maybe coming. Firewalk Studios, a AAA studio, has joined PlayStation, and Xbox on iOS. So, Patrick, we're going to start with the PlayStation Store PS3 reversal. So, if anybody caught the news last week, when we had our news there, we talked about the PlayStation Store shutting down the PS3 store, the Vita store, and the PSP store. There was a lot of outcry from the community, a lot of people kind of upset about that. You know, a lot of people made those videos of this is what you should buy on these stores. Some developers were still developing for the Vita and were kind of upset about this whole closure of these online stores. And we talked about preservation and stuff. Well, Sony has decided to take a reverse on that. They said that basically the PSP store is still closing as of July 2nd. The PSP online store will be closed, but the PS3 Vita and PS3 and PS Vita, not the PS3 Vita, will stay opened because of, well, they say a number of factors, but I want to say that probably it was the community coming out and saying, they were getting a little bit of ill will from people about closing these down. So that's probably the main thing, but I'm sure there were probably some other factors, but what do you think about this?
It was kind of funny because we were getting really close to them shutting it down within like couple weeks, and then all of a sudden Jim Ryan posted a blog post on PlayStation site on the 19th of April, basically stating that hey, we've initially came to a decision to end it, and then out of an abundance of who knows what factors, we decided that was a bad idea, and it's so great how they put a spin on it. That they're like, we're glad we could keep this piece of history alive in their blog post. And I'm just like, no, you're not. You're mad because I think that the fans did this. This is something the fans came together and the preservation of game history and all that stuff is just kind of, I don't know if PlayStation and Sony, Sony themselves just doesn't think these things through when they just make an announcement. They don't think that people are going to be that upset that they can no longer buy their older games. I don't know what they thought, but obviously the backlash of the community was enough for them to go, whoa, maybe we don't know what we're doing here and we need to rethink this. I mean, with like Microsoft, increasing their backwards compatibility lists every week, every month with new games, and Nintendo allowing through the Nintendo subscription service you to play the old school games on the new Switch. I don't know what PlayStation is doing. They're lagging behind in that preservation of historic games area, whereas the other platforms seem to be way ahead of them. So I'm glad to hear it. And I think this is all attributed to players, the community, and their outcry to PlayStation, to Sony, basically saying, what's wrong with you? So,
Right. Yeah, I mean,
it's
Jim Ryan did say, well, it was like, it's probably been a month now, but he did say something about, old games. I don't know if you caught that back then, but he talked about like how he doesn't know why anybody would play older games, like they have bad graphics and they're old and nobody wants to mess with that. And that was kind of his, what he basically said in the gist of it, not word for word. But yeah, I definitely agree that it is the community that brought this back. I mean, if there wasn't an outcry from the community, would they've came to this conclusion on their own and been like, oh no, we should reverse this? No, it would have been shut down. So it was the
right.
community that brought it back.
Yep.
For how
And
long,
yeah,
though?
yeah. I mean, maybe it's on borrowed time because I mean, it saved the PS3 and the PS Vita devices, but the PSP commerce functionality is going to retire in July of this year. So, um, and they did end the blog post by thanking the community for sharing the feedback and that they're always listening, which any smart retailer would. If you anger your consumers, you're going to lose some money. So, um, and also part of me kind of wonders if this was also just a ploy to increase sales because I wonder how much sales increase they had on the PS3 and PS Vita store on the run up to this. Since the announcement on the run up to this, people are like, "Oh, I've been really wanting to play this game and I'm not going to be able to buy it in the digital format. if I don't hurry up and get in there and get it. So I wonder how much of a sales bump or increase they got due to this. Just like when Nintendo announced the day that Mario dies, I guarantee you that it had a huge bump in sales for them, for those people who are trying to get a last minute copy before the store shut down or before they stopped selling something, in Nintendo's case. So I imagine this gave them a nice little bump, gave everybody a little scare. We probably almost had a little bit of a legality thing on our hands at some point where somebody's, where people can no longer purchase or access digital content. So that would have been an interesting precedence to set if it would have went through some legal channels.
Right. Yeah, I made some purchases, myself. I bought, I included myself into that. I bought probably like 10 PS3 games, just to try to get the ones I wanted before it went away. But I mean, of course, they're typically super cheap on there, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I'm sure it was a big bump. But again, like I said, I don't know how long this will last right now. I mean, they haven't put an end date on it, so it could be a year or two. But eventually they are going to shut that down, and hopefully, much like Xbox and Nintendo in a way, hopefully they are looking into different ways that maybe they could shut down these old systems and bring those games over to the current environment, their current PlayStation 5 store, in some form or fashion. So it's
And
hopefully
that
they go
begs the
that
differ,
route.
I myself have not picked up 360 in a while. Can you still get to the store on the 360 and purchase things?
You cannot, but you can purchase
Okay.
360 games that they've made backwards compatible on the Xbox store.
Right. So that's their answer to it. You can't go on the 360 and purchase games, but you can purchase. But if I imagine if you purchase them, I don't know how that would work. If you purchase them digitally on the 360 store back in the day, do you get them digitally on the current store? Which I would imagine you do.
You do if they make them backwards compatible.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's their answer to it. So I mean, so essentially they've shut down the store on the 360. You can no longer get to that store on the
Well,
360.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, because I don't have a
Okay.
360 anymore, so I couldn't say for sure
Right.
if that store is shut down. I would imagine it is, and they've just kind of because a lot of 360 games, especially the big titles, not every title, of course, but the bigger titles are backwards compatible to Xbox One.
Right.
And that's it's not every game, and I'm sure there's more games that people would like to see on that backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, but you have a huge catalog of the big titles that are there. So, maybe it's not a big deal because they are doing that backwards compatibility. But again, I'm not sure if the 360 store is officially dead or anything. Like I said, I don't have a 360 anymore, so I couldn't look on it to see. But I don't remember
Gotcha.
hearing anything about that, but maybe there
Yeah,
was
me
back
neither.
then. I don't know. Yeah.
Microsoft needs to put in a voting system now that says, "Hey, what games do you guys want us to backwards compatible next?" and let the fan base dictate which ones come
They
forward.
they actually I don't know if they got rid of it. They actually had that. They had it was online though. You go to their site and they had a huge list of 360 games and people could vote and whatever got the highest vote would typically go in the rotation as the next backwards compatible title.
Nice. So they're listening a little bit to the community. Good.
Yeah.
And so PlayStation just needs to introduce something like that now. PlayStation
Yeah.
needs to do a backwards compatibility store for all their old games because PlayStation has some of the best exclusives out there, and I would like to be able to get some of those old school ones from the original PlayStation, PS1, PS2 days, and even some PlayStation 3 stuff. So they definitely need to look into that. I'm glad that they're listening to their fans. We'll see how far that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, all right. Cool. So, we'll move on from there. I think we pretty much got that in there and like I said, hopefully we'll see what happens. Hopefully they do something like Xbox is doing with the backwards compatibility stuff. But let's go ahead and talk about the KOTAR Nice Steel Republic remake or maybe remaster. So supposedly, this report came out that uh, Night Steel Republic is basically somewhat confirmed that was it Aspire or something like
Yeah,
that.
Spire. Yeah.
Games is going to be remastering or porting. Now, if you remember them, they did the last one we just played not too long ago, Stubbs the Zombie. They did the port of that one. And that was pretty much a direct port. It was. I think there was some upscaling that was done, and maybe some beautification of the graphics, smoothing things out. But other than that, it was pretty much the same experience as what you got back on the 360. So supposedly this is a remake from them and not just a push out of a port of the game that's upscaled. But I don't know, with this team, this Aspire pretty much typically does those just straight ports. So that's kind of what they're known for. So it's kind of, I don't know. They're saying that it is a remake, but I don't know. I think it's kind of up in the air on whether or not this is going to be an actual remake or if it's just going to be a re-release. What's your thoughts on
Right.
that?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically pretty much confirmed. Jason Schreier, Bloomberg, confirmed that a remake of this classic was in the works during an interview. Um, but and even went as far, and then confirmed later on that Aspire Media is the studio doing it. Aspire does, just like you said, they do ports, and I don't know how to feel about this. If it's because they're saying it's going to be a remake, not a remaster, a remake. So they're completely changing things in the game, upgrading things for the graphics. Because a remake is not just upgraded graphics or an upgraded polishing. It's a remake of the game. It's not a remaster. It's a remake. And Aspire is known as that studio who does re-releases of games, re-releases and ports. So I don't know what to think about this. I love KOTOR, so maybe it's good if they're calling it a remake, and it really is just a remastering in the current gen. Then I'm all for it because I would like to see it in current gen graphics and everything like that without even being changed. You know, so I would be all on board for that. But I just don't know how I feel about them saying it's a game being remade by a studio known for porting and remastering of games, not necessarily remaking of games. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, they do good ports. I will say that.
Mhm.
They've done a lot of ports. They did that Pod Racer not too long ago for the PlayStation and
Oh,
Nintendo, and that's supposedly a pretty good port. So, and then of course Stubbs a Zombie, which we played, and that was a really good port. That worked. That was a nice working port of the game. But nothing was really changed. So, it is going to be interesting to see what these. If this is a full remake by them, it is going to be interesting to see how they handle this, especially them not well, as far as I can tell, they're not really big RPG, developers, and this is a very RPG heavy game, being one of BioWare's first like big blockbusters, so that we all remember and love. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what this development team can do with that, and it's going to be interesting to see how that remake comes out, or if it just ends up being some sort of kind of remastered port of the game.
right. Because I mean, they did the Jedi Academy. They also did Civ 6 for Android. They did the port over there for Android. They have a huge, massive list of games that they have ported. So I mean, they've got some experience with that, but I just do not know what to think of these guys remaking a game. If it really is truly a remake and not a remaster, we've discussed that
Right.
before. That some studios use that term too loosely. They don't mean the same thing. So we may find out that they're just remastering it for current gen and porting it onto everything. So um, I would love to see this. I'm interested. I can't wait. We don't have any details on any dates or anything like that because it was just kind of happenstance. The information came out. It seems so.
Right.
We just got a little smattering. Hey, it's happening. It's a 2003 game. Knights of the Old Republic 2003. So it's about time for something like this to get remade. I guarantee there's plenty of people out there who's never played or even heard of it.
Right. And hopefully, if this remake does pretty good, maybe Knights of the Republic 2 and maybe even Jade Empire can make come out as a remake or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do with all that, and if they're going to have a port, and just how this comes out. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes. Because again, like we said, I, I didn't see anything that this team has developed on their own. Did you? I mean, it all seemed to be like just port development, nothing like original by them. At least not that I could
I
tell.
don't.
But
I don't think they have done anything on their own. I mean, it's all. Um, it's just it's porting and remastering games. I don't think anything that they've ever done is their own title. I could be completely wrong, but
right,
I've not seen, I know they work a lot with partners, like 2K games and Activision and LucasArts and stuff like that. They've done some stuff on Call of Duty, Civilization, SimCity, Borderlands, and Star Wars, but none of that's their own. None of that's their own, I should say. But like I said, they've been around forever. What Aspire has, so they've got quite a catalog. I mean, the catalog list is huge of games that they've ported over. So, uh, we'll find out. I mean, obviously, they do a really good job of porting it. They've been in business for so long doing this that everybody, all the big name studios, the AAA studios, are like, hey, we want you to port this over. We want you to remaster this or something like that. So, reimagining some of this stuff. So, I am, I'm all for it. I mean, they work with AAA games a lot of times. They do a lot of AAA games. So, I don't know if that makes them a AAA studio. I wouldn't think so because they're just remastering somebody else's works or porting somebody else's works over. But I'm excited for it. I would love to see this game when it comes out and see what they've done to it. Time will tell whether they make fans mad or they make fans glad.
Right? Hey, but more power to them. I mean, like you said, hopefully they come out with a really solid remake of the game. So time will tell. We'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and move on. Did you have anything else for that one, or did you?
No, I was just gonna say they did some Knights of the Old Republic like iOS ports and stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
so.
I saw that they did some phone ports for the game. So they got some.
So they're familiar with the game,
right?
Right, they're familiar with the game
for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next topic here, we got Firewalk Studios. It's a AAA studio that's joined PlayStation. It seems like this studio is made up of a lot of kind of high-profile developers and stuff from other studios. Let's see, what did I see here? So Firewalk Studio started in 2018. The studio itself did, and it's got some. It's supposed to be a AAA studio, and whatever that's supposed to mean, as far as I guess they get more money. But
right?
Because
they've yet to produce anything.
Yeah, they have some people from a lot of different development studios, though. They have see a producer that used to person that let's see here, Elena Sigmund. Is an executive producer, used to produce Guitar Hero 2, Bioshock Infinite, and multiple Destiny releases. So that's cool. You got someone from the team. I guess the rest of the team has helped on like Mass Effect and Apex Legends, Call of Duty, some Halo. Yeah. So a lot of big names in the industry as far as worked on big titles within the industry, I should say. And they're going to be a AAA studio for PlayStation. This was on the PlayStation blog where this was talked about. So, yeah, they're going to create some sort of multiplayer game, it seems, from what the blog is saying. It's set to create memorable multiplayer moments for players. And it sounds like they were doing some sort of big multiplayer game from what I could tell from reading through here. Seems like that's going to be kind of the first game they were going to make or kind of work on with some sort of big multiplayer game.
Right, yeah, and it's and basically what this means is that they sign an exclusivity publishing partnership with Sony PlayStation. So whatever they pump out is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. Now, we don't know if that's timed or forever or for whatever. But all we have right now is, hey, probably Monsters Firewalk Studios has entered into a partnership with PlayStation. And what that means, they're working on a multiplayer, multiplayer, and I'm air quoting AAA's game. Who gets to say what that is? I mean, it could be a flip-flop game. It could come out and it's garbage. We don't know what it is because there's no details on it. There's no nothing. But because they keep, some bad thing with these newer studios, they throw around a lot of buzzwords, and this one this one studio keeps throwing around sustainable game studio, building a sustainable game studio, and I'm like, what does that mean? Are you going green? Are you going to keep a studio around for 30 years? What does that mean? It's just buzzwords at this point. So, I mean, they could put out something amazing. I mean, knowing PlayStation, they usually back some pretty good studios, but sometimes they back some flops. So we'll see if anything comes out of this in the next 2 to 5 years, and hopefully it's good because it says some type of multiplayer experience. I would say that's where PlayStation lacks a little bit in their exclusives. Exclusives are primarily single player experiences, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the initiative, except for that wasn't, that wasn't a group that formed and then contracted with Microsoft. That was a Microsoft formed group, but it had a lot of big heads from a lot of the different studios and stuff. And reading through this blog, it kind of felt like, what you were saying with all the big words and everything like that. It's like it almost feels like with this, and I had the same apprehension for the initiative too. I felt like the initiative was going to come together and then it was just going to die out before anything was ever talked about, released, or nothing. Because when you have those studios that come together with all those big heads, those big names or people that worked on those big titles, they always seem to form and then just disintegrate, right? But fortunately enough, and hopefully it does come out, we did see the initiative show off, Perfect Dark. It was a CG trailer, granted, but still they had something to show, and that was cool. And we know that they're working on that, so we know what game they're working on, and they did have something to show. It wasn't gameplay wise, but it was still an idea. So that's cool. So I'm hoping that Firewalk Studios, I'm hoping that just like the initiative, something does come out, something does happen, and this partnership or this this development group doesn't just die off. We don't hear from it for like 4 or 5 years, and the next thing you know, we're like, hey, what happened to that Firewalk thing? Sometimes that happens with these big studios. It's happened in the past, with some studios coming together and then they just die off without anything ever coming out. So it will be interesting to see, and yeah, I mean, like you said, PlayStation does suffer from some big multiplayer, especially first party multiplayer titles. They get a lot of the third party ones, but something that's exclusive to their system. So it would be cool. Hopefully they don't just, Sony doesn't, hopefully Sony just allows them to make whatever they want and doesn't just tell them to make like Planet Side 3 for the PlayStation 5 or something. So you must make Planet Side. We already got Planet Side, and the only people that played it are the dedicated ones. So, yeah, and I'm just hoping that it comes to fruition and the studio makes something really cool.
Right. Yeah, PlayStation says you must make PlayStation Halo. You must make PlayStation Destiny.
Right.
So, yeah, and that happens. I agree with you that you get too many of these, and big head's a good word for them. They're major players in the gaming industry trying to work together, and they all have their own ideas because they come from high producing studios, and they're like, I want to do this, and you get too many clashes going on where these people are just, they're like, my shit don't stink, because my game was this and my game was that. So I think that is a true statement that they just burn each other out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, somebody's gonna be like, I want you to make Halo, but it's gonna be called Olay. This is Halo,
right? I need you to make Destiny, but we're gonna call it Pestiny.
Yeah. So, yeah,
we're gonna call it Destiny with an S.
Destiny's Child. Yeah. Oh, it's made.
So yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, because the name that these guys spit out are all just huge multiplayer titles, like I said, Apex Legends, Halo, Destiny, all that stuff, Call of Duty. So yeah, but Call of Duty is not really an exclusive title for anything, but Halo and Destiny are just exclusives.
It's kind of funny the names they all brought out were like big shooters, and then Guitar Hero too. Maybe they're gonna do some multiplayer where you fight, you shoot people, and play the guitar.
It's gonna be the latest Mad Max movie where you get to play the guitar while riding
on
the
you get
car
to play.
What
was
people.
that guy's name? The one that was on the guitar playing the guitar up there.
There's gonna be a new Twisted Metal where you got to play the guitar and shoot the other cars.
Yeah, you gotta actually play riffs and stuff. It's like Guitar Hero too. Play the wrong play the wrong riff, and the crowd doesn't like you, and they throw Molotov cocktails at you.
Right. It's a combination of driving, playing the guitar, shooting.
Yeah, and you gotta make sure the audience loves you, because if not,
right, they're gonna give you the thumbs down for kill them.
They're gonna put all the landmines out and stuff, throw Molotovs at your pipe bombs and stuff at your car as you're trying to drive
Right.
through.
Right. So yeah, like I said, yeah, like you said, they're going to be they're claiming themselves as a AAA studio. So what does that mean? Does that just mean they have a mountain of money that they got to just go through? I mean, to me, a mountain of money doesn't make a good game.
Right. And that's what I that's generally what I think of when I think AAA. Is like, you do think of like really good games in in some aspects, but it's also just like the amount of money they get, right? Like Naughty Dog, a lot of theirs is AAA, but of course they make a lot of hits, but they also do get a lot of funding from Microsoft, or from Sony, I mean. But granted, Naughty Dog does knock it out of the park most of the time. Maybe not so much with Last of Us 2 for some people, but definitely the Uncharted series and Last of Us 1 and whatever else Naughty Dog may come out with, most people are going to enjoy. So it'll be interesting to see. So yeah. All right.
Cool.
Yep. So we will move on to our last topic, which is Xbox on iOS and Windows PC. So Xbox, starting, see, it was, what was it? It was April 20th. They were going to be sending out some invitations to select Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members to start testing the Xbox Cloud Gaming Limited Beta for Windows 10 PC and Apple phones, tablets via web browsers. So you could play over 100 Xbox Game Pass titles through Edge, Chrome, or Safari. So yeah, I mean, this is really just Microsoft and Xbox just pushing out their cloud and gaming initiative. They kind of started with Android phones, and they were running into some trouble getting things with Apple. It seems like, well, I mean, again though, they're not having it. They don't have an app on the phone, right? So it's not like because on Android you do have like a streaming app from Xbox. Whereas this is just streaming it through the Safari browser on your phone or tablet, or your Apple phone or tablet. So not quite the same. I don't think quite what Xbox and Microsoft's wanting for that, for at least that platform. But this is kind of neat. If you want to do cloud gaming, you don't have to just do it on your phone or anything. If you have a kind of a crappy laptop or something like that, that has a web browser, you can play your Xbox games on there. Or it'd be, or if you travel or something like that and you don't want to play it on a small phone, you have you take your laptop with you and connect up and play some Xbox games and stuff like that in the hotel room or whatever. So it is whether you hate like or hate cloud gaming, it can have its place, right? In certain scenarios, it can have its place, especially if you don't want to carry something like a Xbox around with you or something, And if you're traveling for work and stuff, or if you're even traveling in general, the most thing you're going to have with you is probably a laptop or some sort of tablet or something. So throw in an Xbox controller, and now you can play wherever you're at. And how good it plays depends on your network connectivity and where you're at, but it's available for those who need it. And so now this is just a beta through the web browsers, but they'll test it out for a few weeks or so, or a month or so, and then it'll be pushed out for everyone to be able to utilize, just like they did with xCloud for Android. So but yeah, that's cool. So what do you think about this, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, and I wonder, and I'd heard that they ran into some issues with the iOS store, Apple store, so that's why that they made the changeover. Instead of going app-based, they went to the web browser-based, because, especially with all these app stores now starting to control a lot more and wanting more of the piece of the pie. I mean, we heard about Apple, the issues with, was it iOS, the Apple Store, and Fortnite, where they were wanting some of the Fortnite game cache purchases, and they were like, "No, you can't have that. That's not yours. You don't get any of that." And so, I'm pretty sure all these game developers and studios are trying to watch that with fervor, going, maybe we just need to skip the store apps now, and that's what'll end up happening, is they'll bypass the Google Play and the iOS store, just so that they can protect their microtransactions or whatever they want to do in games. So they don't have to split any of that pie with anybody. So makes sense from a business standpoint to cut out that middleman. I not a fan of cloud gaming, but there are plenty of people out there who this is for, and this is just not for me. But I can understand, as Nick had pointed out, that if you travel for work or you travel in general and you want to play a game in a hotel, you don't necessarily want to carry your Xbox with you. Traveled for work many years myself, and I probably would have tried some streaming games, maybe not on the hotel Wi-Fi, but on my mobile phone or something, I would have. But it is kind of interesting. You're gonna have to have a USB controller or a Bluetooth controller to play it. And there's a whole list of compatible controllers that can work with some of this stuff. Sure, most people are just going to use an Xbox controller since it hooks with Bluetooth or plug it in directly into your device. It'd be kind of interesting to see a controller that's bigger than your phone plugged into your phone so you can play this game.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can
Yep.
do
I mean,
that.
I've seen the attachments where you can actually attach the phone to the controller.
Right. They have those. I can't remember. They have several different kinds, but yeah, the ones with
Mm-hmm.
that you put your phone in the center and then you have the controllers and stuff on the side. I mean, if I was going to play a game on my phone, well, either you're just using an Xbox controller or something like that is probably the way I'd go if I was going to
Right.
play it on my phone. But you know, yeah, I mean, it's cool that it's through the browser. You can do it through the browser now, so that gives you a much bigger screen to be able to stream games. You know, Again, streaming's not for everyone. I'm not a huge fan of streaming either. I've tried it, and it works fairly well, but I don't. For me personally, I don't have a scenario where I need to use it. So
Mhm.
I don't travel for work. Much like you did. I traveled as well. We traveled together sometimes for work back in the day. And staying in the hotels those nights, yeah, I probably would have. I probably would have opened up my laptop and turned it on and went to go stream an Xbox game, and
Right.
played it in the hotel room. But don't travel anymore, so I don't really have a need for it. I'm usually home and or if not, if I'm out and about, I'm not thinking about playing a video game. I'm usually
Right.
busy doing
Busy.
something. So
Right. But I mean, I do think eliminating the App Store will help a lot, especially because they basically said it works through Edge, Chrome, and Safari. So, even though they say Apple phones and tablets, I mean, I don't know what the difference is. I'm not a huge Mac fan, so I don't know what's the difference in a Mac. Would this work on Mac? If you run it in Safari, why can't you run it on a Mac, right? I don't know if that'll work or not. Somebody
I
will
don't
try it.
know. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because it basically says any Apple phone or Apple tablet. So I mean, there's a bigger screen for you too. If you got an Apple tablet, you just got your controller plugged into that. So they
Right.
basically set up for 100 Xbox Game Pass titles that you can try this on. And it's a limited beta right now. They're sending out invites. I don't know how many. They haven't said an exact number, but they're basically just going to keep sending out more invites on a basis of who knows how long. But they're saying they want to get this to be quickly opened up for all. For all Game Pass Ultimate members in company in coming months. I mean, it piques my interest. I may try it. I wouldn't necessarily stick with it because I have a Xbox and I can just use Game Pass and download the game. I don't really have a need for cloud gaming, but I would still like to play it because I am one of those. I'm against cloud gaming myself because I think it's a misuse of bandwidth and a bad. I don't know how are you going to play Call of Duty or something like that over a cloud, but I could be made to eat my own words eventually. So I keep an eye on it, and I will definitely try it out if I get picked for beta because I am a Game Pass Ultimate member. And if I get the invite for beta, I will definitely try it out, just see what it's like.
Yeah, I tried Stadia. I did the Stadia free trial and tried it out, and it worked fairly well. I played a few games on there, and I have tried XCloud on the Android, and it works pretty well too. I didn't really have much latency or hiccup problems when I played it, but like you said, I did it. I don't really have a need to do it, but I would do the same. If they sent me a thing saying, "Hey, you can try this on your," through the Chrome or whatever, I'd be like, "Okay, cool, I'll try it out." I'll stream some games, I'll see how it is. But that just shows that ultimately down the line, it just shows that the Xbox Ultimate subscription model is just getting better and better, right? Regardless if you need this or not, that's just another service added into your already $15 a month payment that you're making. You have Game Pass, and now you have all this cloud streaming that's tacked on top of it. Whether you like it or not, or whether you're going to use it or not, it doesn't matter. That's another piece of something that you can use, right? For that, and not charging any additional money for that. So, hey, keep adding more services and more things to this, and that, that $15 a month just grows and grows as far as
Right.
what the value you're getting.
I could see this helping out in an area of the future if it gets good enough and they get rid of latency issues and stuff like that. I could see this scratching an itch because I currently have an itch that I can't scratch, and that is I want to play Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5, but I can't play it because I don't own a PlayStation 5. I have a PS4, but this could help more with like games that are coming out for PlayStation 5 only, and I really want to play them, but I can't get a game I can't get a console due to scalpers or something like that, and I really just want to play the game. And if PlayStation does this and Microsoft does this in the future, and I happen to be one of those people who can't get the console that I want at the time, and the game comes out that I want to play, I would get to play it because I think, Nick, you're currently in this scenario, right? The game that you really want to play on the PlayStation 5 is only available on the PlayStation 5.
Right?
Would
Yeah,
you
Demon
would
Souls, the remake.
yeah, would you actually give this a shot if it was in real if you could tell no difference between playing this through your computer than playing it on the PlayStation in your living room? Would you give it a would you take this as a substitution in an interim until you got the console?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it was available now from Sony, something similar to this, yeah, I would be all for it. I'd be already playing Demon Souls now, and just wait
Right.
until I got that console.
Right. Because Sony is actually already doing this, where I don't think Microsoft has announced games that are just for the X and the S yet that I've seen.
The Medium was,
The Medium was only X or S
and PC. So
and PC. Okay.
yeah.
But like PlayStation has the Returnals coming out. That's a PlayStation 5 only game. They had the Demon Souls remake. So I mean, they've got games that are only for that console.
And then Jack and Dexter, or is it Jack and Dexter, or no? It's what's the other guy's name? I don't know. The robot and the raccoon.
Oh, is that Ratchet and
Ratchet and Clank? There you go.
I'm like, what's Jack and Dexter?
I don't think it's a raccoon, but anyway, it's a robot.
But as soon as you said that, I knew what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that one's PlayStation 5 only as well.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, this would help in an instance like that because I really, like I said, Miles Morales was not a good example because I can play that on PlayStation 4 if I really had the bad itch. But I wanted to see it in its glory on PlayStation 5. So I'm waiting for PlayStation 5. But I would definitely say if this came out and I couldn't tell a difference between playing on my Xbox versus playing this through the cloud, I would be an avid supporter of it because right now there's games that I want to play that I can't play because I don't have the console in question.
Right. Like I saw people, they were asking about Returnal because Returnal's coming out soon. And they were asking people, I think, I can't remember who it was, but was asking, if they would purchase it or not. And a lot of people said no, or they weren't interested in the game was the highest percentage at the moment. I looked at the poll. But I was reading through the comments, and there was a lot of people that were really looking forward to it. But a lot of people were, there was a lot of comments I saw where people were looking forward to it. They just didn't have PS5s, And so exactly what you said, this would solve that for them if they could do some sort of streaming service like Microsoft's doing. People could play the Returnal and all these other games, and then when they finally were able to get a PS5, then they could go purchase the PS5 and purchase the Returnal game or whatever. Or maybe you buy it, I don't know, through Stream, and then when you get your PS5, you have it digitally there, right? And so you can just download it on your PS5 at that moment. But
right.
Yeah, that would be really cool, and a really cool idea, and a great purpose to have that streaming capability, So
might calm down some of the scalpers because they won't have a reason. People won't be like, well, it's not like I can't play anything. I'll just have to play it through the cloud or whatever until I can get my hands on one because I'm waiting patiently. I am not going to line a scalper's pocket so I can have a PlayStation 5. That's why I don't have one. So I will be waiting to get one eventually, sometime, maybe this time next year. And we'll see.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, the last thing I heard was like possibly 2022, but there was news just recently, since we're talking about PlayStation, where PlayStation is looking to, churn out more PlayStation 5s. So they're looking to, really expand their production line to really get them out the door. And so that they're kind of focusing heavily on that right now. So that's good. Hopefully that's good news that maybe by this summer or maybe by this fall, hopefully not next year, but maybe sometime this year, we'll all be able to purchase one.
Right. Yep. So yeah, I could see definitely uses for this. Like I said, if I couldn't get an Xbox Series, Series X or S, then they had games that were exclusive to those, and it came out on here and it was just as good, I would contemplate it. But that's what it would have to be. It would have to be just as good as if the console was sitting in my living room and I'm playing. So.
Right. Well, the nice thing about Xbox in this case is you would already have the Ultimate because you would still have your Xbox One X. So you just turn on your console and start playing the medium or something, something that is exclusive to just the series.
Right. Yep. So I can see benefit to this. We just got to see how they plan to roll it out and how they plan to keep it stable.
Yeah, it's going to be growing pains, but I think they'll eventually get it down, and I would assume Sony would follow suit at some point.
Right. I mean, maybe these guys won't go the way of Stadia.
Yeah. Hopefully not. I mean, Stadia's still there. I don't know for how long, but it's still there for now.
I thought they had shut down section of the.
They shut down one of their gaming development groups, but Stadia itself is still around. So, they're still making and releasing games.
Stadia's downfall is you have to pay for the subscription and then pay for the game. So.
Right. Yeah.
So with this one, you just have to pay your $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate and call it good.
Yeah, call it a day. Then go play your games.
You would have probably had that already if you own an Xbox and a PC like I do, so I can play Xbox and PC games.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's many times where, we're viewing a game or just playing a game, and I might download it on my PC instead of my Xbox, just because I'm like, I want to play this over here. I've done that several times. So.
Me too. Well, awesome.
Yeah, very good. Awesome. Great. That is the news, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it. Catch us next week when we talk about the news from last week. So thanks to everyone for joining. Thanks for everyone for watching. Again, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Tell all your friends. See you next time on ITD Gaming News.